Welcome to Cybersecurity Awareness TV, episode number 438, recorded September 22nd, 2023. My name is Mac Jackson Jr. I'm a cybersecurity consultant and a researcher on cybercrimes and cybersecurity. If this is the first time you have seen my show here, we produced cybersecurity awareness, tips, news, and information that you can use to protect yourselves from the fastest growing crimes of the 21st century, and those are cybercrime, folks. I'd like to send out a warm thank you to all of our fans who have been with us here on WWDBTV, as well as on Roku and on YouTube as well. And if you'd like to follow me, you could find me at MacJacksonJR.com. That's MacJacksonJR.com for information on cybersecurity, how to protect yourselves, my latest events that are happening, and information that you can use to your business to help mitigate these crimes of cyber theft. Remember, folks, on YouTube to share, like, and subscribe, and tell a friend what you have learned on this show. In today's episode, we are covering a tremendous issue that happened here in our town, Las Vegas, Nevada, and our cyber news. It has to do with the MGM Grand and Caesars Entertainment, one of the biggest cyber attacks that's happened in our city in a very, very long time here that's happened. We're calling it an Ocean's 13 style digital heist. That's the name of it, Ocean Style 13 digital heist that happened here, where the MGM Grand and 19 of its properties here in Las Vegas, as well as properties around the country, were shut down due to a cyber attack. And in our second segment, we're going to talk about the FBI warnings and what you should do to protect yourselves and what's going on, the types of frauds and scams the FBI warns citizens that they should watch out for. In our first segment, folks, cybersecurity data breach of the MGM Resorts and Caesars Entertainment. In our fast-paced technology, folks, in our society right now, security of sensitive information is the paramount of every industry. And the recent cybersecurity incidents from the MGM Grand and the Caesars Palace underscores the concerns that everybody should be on guard for. Both of these high-ranking properties with their top-notch security teams and with the best equipment can still become victims to a cyber attack, folks. It is the human factor that's involved in it. Now, the information I'll have for you regarding this particular cyber attack shows everyone that the weakest link to any sort of technology is the human factor, and that's how these hackers were able to penetrate the enormous security that these two mega resorts have put into their cybersecurity fortress. The incident happened back in September 7th of 2023, a couple weeks ago. The MGM Grand had an incident of a cyber incident that they were on alert for, and then during 9/11, when it was exposed here, and that was on a Monday, where several systems within the MGM Grand had to be turned off because the hackers had access to their particular machines. Well, over the last 10 days now, it seems that MGM Grand has gotten their systems back online, and their systems are back online right now as we speak. Not at 100%, but they are back online now. But they have FBI and the local and state federal law enforcement helping or working with the cybersecurity teams to determine how this particular hacker incident happened and how to mitigate it from ever happening like this again. Now, this incident has cost the MGM Grand approximately $8 million a day for this. So that's close to $20 million that they have lost just from this incident of the hacking happened. There's been reported that employees couldn't get access to their timesheets. There's always been reports that gamblers that were there playing slot machines had to be paid out manually in cash from security. Guests had issues getting into their rooms. They had to be unlocked manually. And all kinds of little systems had to be shut down because the hackers had infiltrated all these different types of systems within the casino themselves. Now, at the same time, and it was something that was kept out of the news, the other incident happened at Caesars Entertainment. Caesars Entertainment, it's reported that Caesars Entertainment actually paid the hackers money to get their data back. Now again, we're not saying that you should pay hackers getting your data back, but they took that choice because of the risk that was involved. It's not something that these companies would normally do, because they have an IT team that are very, very professional, and they work closely with law enforcement to mitigate these types of situations and not pay hackers when these types of strikes happen. But in this situation, they had to. But again, folks, it's not over with yet. Just because they paid the money doesn't mean that they can't get it back. There's a lot of things that are going on behind the scenes with law enforcement and a group of ethical hackers working with the Secret Service to find out who these bad guys are. And we have a report of the speculation of who these cyber criminals are. But I have several stories to report to you today regarding this particular incident. And let's start by a report that I did on News 3. Take it from there.
This has to be costing MGM millions of dollars an hour.
On Sunday, systems at MGM Resorts properties began shutting down, including slot machines, company email, the MGM website, and more.
It just, throughout the day, got worse and worse and worse until we had no access at the end of the day.
An MGM employee says the outage is supposedly starting about 5 a.m. Sunday morning. We agreed to grant them anonymity to speak freely.
More and more of the people that were working that day just lost access to like everything. Like just throughout the day, it was like, oh, phone lines are down. Okay, scheduling's down. Okay, now workday is down. Now everything is down.
In a statement, MGM Resorts simply called it a cybersecurity issue affecting some of their systems, saying they alerted law enforcement and began proactively shutting down systems to protect data.
It's like with any setup, the weakest link in the system can break it down. It could be social media. All it takes is one employee to click on a link.
Experts like Mac Jackson say MGM has a top cybersecurity team, but this incident exposes continued vulnerabilities.
And training and education for all of our employees, because this is something that will continue as technology gets better, faster, more sophisticated. The hackers will find these ways as well.
Lon Augustenborg is a former CIA operative who now runs a cybersecurity firm. Like the 2019 MGM hack that leaked personal details of over 100 million people, he says this incident could have been in the making for months or longer.
You also time it at the time when it hurts the most. Is it because it's the first day of the NFL season? Is it because of the massive amount of bets that are going on, or people on vacation right after Labor Day?
Thanks for watching. Stay updated about breaking news and top stories on the NBC News app, or follow us on social media.
And folks, like we discussed, this cyber attack has produced news around the world of this horrific type of data breach. And if it happens to a large corporation, just imagine the cost it would have and effect it could happen to a smaller company that do not have a cyber team like MGM Grand or Caesars. Well, the cost and the vulnerability could be enormous. The impact of these type of attacks expand beyond the monetary losses. For the MGM resorts, the cyber attack compromised several vital functions, including hotel reservations, credit card processing throughout some resorts, even the dining and entertainment. They couldn't the restaurants couldn't process credit card payments because of this. Likewise, the disclosure from Caesars about the insecurity of the customer data and the potential of customer reputation, the hotel's reputation, financial losses, and of course legal entanglements. These are some very much concerns that all businesses have when they're faced with a cyber attack. So who are the perpetrators? Who was the team? Was it North Korea? Was it China? Was it Russia? Well, speculation states that this was a group of millennial hackers. Yes, the reports that are coming out are stating that they were a group of millennial hackers between the ages of 19 and 22 that supposedly are working for an underground Russian-based group. However, these groups of millennial hackers are stated to be from the US and the UK. Right? And they call themselves Shattered Spider. They're associated with a known Russian group. Again, it's associated with a known Russian group called Alpha 4 and Black Cat. However, this is investigations that are still being discovered more and researched by law enforcement and other cybersecurity experts around the world to find out who these characters are and bring them to justice, folks. It has happened more than we know that's been brought into public, that these hackers have been found out through our means of hacking back at the bad guys. So there's ways to get back at them, and that's something that we in the industry are definitely looking into as well as cybersecurity professionals. I have another story I'd like to share with you that talks more about this incident coming to us from ABC News.
And now to the massive cyber attack targeting hotels and casinos in Las Vegas. MGM Properties says the hack crippled key cards, slot machines, and ATMs at nearly a dozen of its resorts and casinos on the Strip. This comes just days after the Caesars chain says it was hacked, potentially exposing personal information of tens of millions of customers. Mola Lenghi is in Las Vegas with the latest.
Chaos in Las Vegas after Sin City was hit by a massive cyber attack.
This is the situation right now.
MGM Properties trying to recover, under siege since Sunday. Long lines snaking through the lobby of hotels like the Bellagio. Check-ins across MGM Properties taken offline.
The people that are checking in have to fill out a piece of paper that, like, they're writing down your credit card information.
Also affected, ATMs, hotel key cards, some guests being let in by security with physical keys. The attack leaving slot machines silent. Messages on screens reading out of service. It's not just Vegas. MGM casinos and hotels across the country, including Atlantic City, experiencing outages. And Caesars revealing it too was the victim of a cyber attack, costing them millions, days before MGM was breached.
Cybersecurity analysts tell ABC News they believe a ransomware group known as Scattered Spider is responsible for the MGM attack. A hacker allegedly impersonating an MGM employee on a call with the help desk took down the system in just 10 minutes.
Because this is such a high-profile heist, if they get away with this, it really is going to open the door for these really kind of spectacular attacks against American businesses, and neither the business community nor the FBI can let this go unanswered.
MGM saying they continue to work diligently to resolve our cybersecurity issue.
And Mola Lenghi joins me now from Las Vegas for more on this. Mola, what's it like there right now?
Well, Diane, you might not notice anything different outside on the Strip, but inside some of the hotels and resorts and casinos, that's where you really notice some of these problems that they've been encountering. MGM runs and operates about a dozen of the biggest hotel and casino brands on the Las Vegas Strip. You go into some of those and you notice check-in lines a little bit longer than they usually are, slower than they usually are. You go to the casino floor, not quite as active as it typically is, because a lot of the machines, some of the slot machines, those sort of things, they're not working the way that they normally should be. You notice teams of casino staffers that are sort of roaming the casino floors, some of them performing maintenance on a lot of these down machines, some of them who are paying out customers their winnings cash by hand, as opposed to having the customers go to the tellers and collect their winnings as they normally do. ATM machines down. So a lot of the the seamless, efficient processes that we typically see are not quite as efficient, not quite as seamless as they normally are.
So what are these hotels and casinos doing to try to help customers get through this, especially those whose information may have been compromised?
Yeah, between MGM and Caesars, you've got tens of millions of people's personal information, customers' personal information that was potentially exposed. Caesars told federal regulators that banking information, that credit card information in particular, was not compromised, but they couldn't say the same for things like social security numbers or driver's license numbers or contact information. It couldn't say that those things were not compromised. So some of the hotel brands and some of the casinos are offering things like credit monitoring and identity theft protection to a lot of the customers who are in their loyalty programs. But still, for someone whose personal information might be out there now, still an unsettling feeling, Diane.
So, Mola, what happens now?
So the investigations continue. You've got the casinos, MGM and Caesars, who say that they are working with local law enforcement. The FBI is also involved, cybersecurity experts. They're all continuing to investigate to try to find out exactly the nature of this hack some of that information we may never know.
All right, Mola Lengi in Las Vegas. Mola, thank you.
And like we said, folks, the hackers that have been found here in the U.S. that the U.S. wants to investigate and interrogate about their actions can sit comfortably in other states that do not have jurisdiction, extradition orders, that is, to bring them back to the U.S. So they can basically stay in the country, and the country doesn't have to give them up, such as Russia and certain other countries over on the Eastern Bloc that are protecting these types of criminals as well. But tell you what, as soon as they do leave their country and we can get them, our definitely law enforcement will go after them and bring them to justice as well. So what's the solution, folks? What's the solution for this? How does it affect your business, your small business that has maybe 2 people or 200 people in your organization? Whereas the MGM Grand and Caesars Entertainment, folks, did you know there's over 50,000 plus employees working for these 2 organizations? That's more employees in some small cities that exist here in the U.S. And they got struck. Imagine a small company. Now, it may not be a ransom of, $15 million, but it could be a ransom of $5,000. We have seen situations where small businesses have been harassed and extorted for as much as $500, folks, to get their data back. That's right, folks. And they tell them, don't call law enforcement. And they would pay it and get their data back. But sometimes they'll get half their data back. Sometimes they'll get all their data back, and then the hackers will come back again 6 months later asking for more money and hack them again. Because again, folks, they don't have the sophistication as large corporations. So there's things that you can do. Cybersecurity researchers like myself and law enforcement alike, we are suggesting and recommending companies invest in cybersecurity awareness training and education. More and more of this is happening now. Companies are becoming more awake, or if you would, cyber woke, as we say here in our show, to this type of training. And they're offering this evolving technology to their employees. While technology continues to evolve, as we state here, so will the techniques of hackers and cyber criminals. Cybersecurity is a growing need for businesses, and training and investing in this type of security process and procedures is a proactive step that all companies need to do. The weakest link to organization and cybersecurity defenses is the human factor again, folks. Employees are inadequately becoming more and more of a gateway, and verbally that is becoming a gateway for these types of cyber attacks. Be it as an uninformed clicking on a phishing email or by using social engineering. And folks, I also like to pause for a second and mention that if you are here in Las Vegas next week, September 29th, I am hosting a Cybersecurity for Business seminar that's the 29th of September. You can find it on my website at macjacksonjr.com for the event time. It's be 6 p.m. to 7:30. And I will show you how the MGM attack happened in a similar situation, and how social engineering and using the human factor is a way that hackers can get information like your password and your user ID to break into systems, folks. It's really an amazing technique that hackers do because they're relying on the human factor of being moral and understanding. So it makes us want to be skeptical of everybody we talk to on the phone. So definitely like to find out more about that. Definitely attend my event next week. And we'll have more also in the month of September and October, because October is Cybersecurity Awareness Month. But as we continue our story here, folks, training should be done. It should be done continuously to help train your employees on what to do and what to look for when it comes to cyber threats. Now again, not just one-time training, because the training that your employees learn, the hackers are also learning what your employees are learning, and they're looking for vulnerabilities to look for the next step. So it's like a cat chasing the mouse again and again and again. And it has to be continuous training, folks, to fight against this. Our next story, we'd like to present you a report from CBS News. And this report comes from the former Homeland Security Director, Chris Cubbs, that talks about the cyber attack at the MGM and Caesars Palace as well. Here we get started.
Well,
It's been several days since hackers infiltrated operations of hospitality and gaming giant MGM Resorts International. The company says that it's working to fix the issue, which has paralyzed its hotels and casinos from Las Vegas to the East Coast. Elise Preston has the latest from Las Vegas.
Chaos in Vegas.
You don't know what you're dealing with, right? You don't know how much is compromised and how much is not compromised.
But not the usual sort. Since Monday, a massive hack has crippled everything from MGM slot machines to reservation systems and digital room keys.
I asked how long is this going to be? This will be 1 day, it could be 3 weeks.
As anxious customers worry about their data security.
I don't even want to pay with my card right now. I'm scared that they're going to hack all of our information.
It comes as Caesars Entertainment, another Vegas casino giant, announced it had also been the victim of a cyber attack. CBS News cybersecurity expert Chris Krebs says American companies are too vulnerable to these kinds of attacks.
We've been in a half decade or so now of very disruptive and in some cases destructive ransomware and cyber criminal attacks that we need a more muscular approach.
According to Bloomberg, Caesars Entertainment was forced to pay about $15 million in ransom to restore its systems. The company confirms that hackers acquired some driver's license and social security numbers, but says it has no evidence that bank accounts or payment card information was stolen.
Even if you are able to get some of these folks, another's going to pop up right behind them because they've been able to demonstrate that is a very lucrative profession, that cybercrime pays, and it pays very, very well.
So Elise Preston is joining us now. Elise, I know that the FBI is involved in the investigation here. I mean, what do we know about who could be responsible for these hacks? I heard 2 names floating around, and how they managed to do it.
Well, that is all under investigation, Anne-Marie, but we do know that there have been a couple groups that have claimed responsibility online. It is believed that one of those groups is comprised of a group of 19 to 20-year-olds, possibly American or UK citizens. And so it appears there are reports that that group basically found an employer or employee on LinkedIn, and they were able to contact them, get some of their information, and then they called the help desk for help in getting into the system. So it seems almost unbelievable. When we spoke to Chris Krebs, I said, how can that be? And he did point out that this shows that there are some vulnerable spots in the network of this MGM empire.
Yeah, it's called social engineering, and the vulnerable spot are the people. That's one of the vulnerabilities. It's a pretty low-tech way of breaking into a massive company. Which brings me to this. Just how widespread is this? Because MGM doesn't just own properties in the United States. They own properties all around the world. Were some of their other properties impacted as well?
Well, it appears as though the company did say that, you know, it owns about 12, more than a dozen hotels on the Strip. So the hotels on their Strip are impacted, but the hotel also said that properties elsewhere in the United States, in other cities. So we're talking Maryland, Massachusetts, Ohio, New York, Mississippi. There were several states where they're saying that their properties there were impacted as well. In the casinos, hotel floors, a lot of the frustration that we heard from the people in the story there. What's interesting, Anne-Marie, is that some people are in Vegas right now. We were talking to them yesterday. They said, at this point, you know, we came to Vegas. This trip had been planned for weeks, months. We're just hoping that we can get a room. So that's kind of the low bar that some people have in coming to vacation here in Vegas right now.
It's gone back to like old school Vegas, right? Now, like, everything's got to be written down. I mean, tell me about the process. What are you seeing? How do you check in? How do you book a ticket to go see a show? What's happening with all of that?
So I did walk into a casino yesterday, and the line was wrapped around, which, you know, lines are pretty popular in Vegas. But we talked to some people, and they said that they had been trying to get answers for hours. They saw kind of this mess unfold on TikTok. They were calling the hotels. They were calling the resorts. They couldn't get through. They said that that was frustrating, that they have not been able to get answers from MGM. But a lot of people said that they just couldn't check in. We talked to some people who said that, you know, you expect to have some lines in Vegas, but the wait is just so much longer because some things are not, they're not being able to done electronically. So some guy we spoke with yesterday, he said that when he tried to cash out, he had to wait for someone at the casino to come over and kind of write out basically like a voucher for him to get cash instead of like an automatic thing. Some people also are just afraid to use their credit cards because of this breach.
Wow, unbelievable. Elise, thank you very much.
So folks, what does the future look like, right? Will these cyber attacks and ransomware continue, or will it stop from here? Folks, it will continue. This incident that happened with the MGM Grand and Caesars Entertainment and other industries and from the financial industry as well as the healthcare industry, folks, is a continuous campaign and not a one-off incident. Hackers will, and as they're doing it now, have training within their own underground world in the darknet, training their hackers how to find other vulnerabilities within our networks and our technology and our systems. So we must counteract with training as well to fight against it. While the recent cyber attacks is a giant claim and effect on the MGM Grand Resorts and Caesars Entertainment, and it made the headlines, it's imperative to recognize that all small businesses should have their cyber posturing and security policies within organizations hardened and training their employees to avoid these types of threats. Because the low-hanging fruit, folks, is the small business owners. It's small businesses. There's more of them than are Caesars and MGM Grand. Small business like yours and mine and others, that hackers can have this information. Now, some of the questions I've gotten from the viewers that ask, well, what can they do with just information about my basic information in my books? Well, what they'll do is they could take that information and get together with other bad guys in the darknet and see if they can match and create a jigsaw puzzle regarding your own personal profile, which they can sell on the darknet for monies. Folks, information is the new currency, and that's what these hackers are looking for. They're very sophisticated in what they do, and we must stay one step ahead of them to protect ourselves. Additionally, small businesses offer more need for financial resources to recover from these types of cyber attacks, right? Like cyber liability insurance. According to the U.S. National Cybersecurity Alliance report, 60% of small businesses go out of business within the first 6 months after a cyber attack. Okay? So now, if you have a small business, you get attacked like this, a lot of them will go out of business because they cannot afford the cyber insurance, they cannot afford the financial losses or the business reputation. This report, folks, is definitely chilling. It's something that all businesses should think about. This incident at Caesars and MGM should serve as, again, folks, a wake-up call for everyone. The business sectors across every area of our economy should consider this incident as a cautionary tale of investing in cyber liability infrastructure for their organizations. And this is something that we definitely should take serious, folks. And I would like to also give compliments to my associates that work at the MGM Grand and Caesars Entertainment. These cybersecurity professionals, I do know of them personally, and I'm telling you, they are some of the best we have in the business worldwide. This type of attack was a human weakness type of attack that affected a tech support call. And again, you'd like to find out how those tech support calls are done? Attend my event, go to my website, MacJacksonGR.com, and find out how this happened, folks. Like we've always said on our show here on Cybersecurity Awareness TV, folks, we must maintain vigilance and stay cyber, hashtag stay cyber woke. We'll be back after these messages. Hello, folks. This is Mac Jackson Jr. from Vanderson Cyber Group. The problem with businesses today is that they are affected by cyber attacks from around the world, but companies are not sure of what to do. Normally, they are reactive instead of proactive. But folks, cyber attacks can affect your bottom line, and it will affect you financially, legally, and your business reputation. Here at Vanderson Cyber Group, we can help you develop a policy by training your employees on what to do if they are involved in a cyber attack, and how to mitigate it and fight against it. Folks, we call it here #StayCyberWoke. And that's Vanderson Cyber Group here in Las Vegas and around the world. You can reach me, folks, at VandersonCyberGroup.com or my website, MacJacksonJr.com as well. Here locally, 702-868-0808. Give us a call today, folks. We must fight back. Hi folks, welcome back to Cybersecurity Awareness TV. I'm your host, Mac Jackson Jr. In this segment, we call it the FBI warnings. The FBI issues a public warning that is another crime that's on the rise, and those are the incidents of QR code scams. Folks, if you've been a fan of our show and a viewer of my show here for the last couple of years, you know I've done several episodes regarding the QR codes, right? Those are the little picture codes, the little square box that you see, that you take your phone and you highlight your phone and it takes you to a website. You click on the website and there you are, right? It was used a lot during the pandemic for restaurants, so you didn't have to have menus to touch, your hands to touch, you just use your phone to scan and you have access to this information. Well, recent FBI advisory by the Federal Bureau of Investigations, they're sounding an alarm of the increased prevalence of the QR code scams. It is a growing problem, according to the FBI. The QR code stands for quick response codes. Again, the square code image of a image that you scan using your smartphone as a way of conveniently taking you to a website without having to type in the www dot in the name of the website. Well, for example, folks, if someone came to you and says, type in this website, www.IamScammingYourComputer.com. Of course, you're not going to do that. But if you see a nice little piece of photo of something saying, please buy here, and you have a nice QR code, you can take your phone and hover over it and click it there, and it looks really cool, right? Same thing. You click on it and it will take you to that scammer's website. These are the things we want to avoid. I'll show you an example of this after the story we have to report to you from KTSM 9 News.
Pretty interesting right there. And the FBI is warning about QR code scams. Top crime fighters are saying this is a growing problem. Now, one particular concern has been fraud involving cryptocurrency. If you happen to scan a scammer's bad code, it could result in giving full access to your device. Here are a few ways to protect yourself. Do not scan a random QR code. Be suspicious if after scanning the site asks for a password or login. And do not scan codes receiving in emails or text messages.
So friends, like the FBI has stated, the scam exploits the technology and replacing the QR codes with fraudulent ones. Here's an example of this, right? So you go into a restaurant and you see a QR code that's on the side of the building window, right, of the restaurant. A hacker or scammer can easily print out their own QR code label and just peel it off and place it on the windowsill or inside the restaurant on the table next to the regular QR codes. So you're thinking you're scanning a restaurant's QR code, you're actually scamming the scammer's QR code. Or some other information. Maybe it's fraudulent, maybe it's something trying to get you to buy something that has nothing to do with the restaurant, but that QR code is there. You don't know, but if you saw the name of the link or a phone number of the business, more than likely you would not want to scam it because it has nothing to do with your particular purpose at the time. But because the QR code is there, you assume that it's a part of the restaurant and you scan it. This is something that you need to be very, very cautious of. So the moral of the story, folks, and this warning by the FBI is do not use these QR codes unless you are very, very sure that they're coming from the restaurant or from the business establishment that is in fact their QR code. Another thing you could do, if you see a QR code and if it can be peeled, a label can be peeled off, I wouldn't use it at all. If you could peel it from the table or from the wall, no, don't use that QR code. It could probably be a scam. If someone gives you a business card and the QR code on it. It's easier to trust that if you trust the individuals giving you the card. For example, I have my QR code on my business card. Now, I've printed them out. I know this QR code is a good code. However, there's some people that can give you their business card and have a QR code on it. That's false as well. Or fake business cards. It's like one of our previous presidents once said to us a couple decades ago, trust but verify. Okay, so trust but verify. Always check it out. Contact the company and do your own vetting before you answer that phone call, before you answer that email, answer that SMS message. Check them out first before you do anything like that. Never click on anything. According to the Federal Trade Commission, you should always think before you click. Our next warning comes to us, folks, from the FBI, and this warning is an escalation. First one was an increasing rise. Now this is an escalation in tech support scams that are affecting financial sectors. The FBI, again, has warned everyone to be aware of the fake tech support scams. These are tech support scams that the scammers would call. I mean, they're getting that brazen, folks. They're actually picking up the phone and calling because they're understanding that lots of us are becoming more educated and aware of these types of emails and SMS messages. So what they're doing, they're going back to the first base here, not picking up the phone and actually calling people and getting them to tell them things like, your computer, this is Microsoft, and you have a Microsoft computer. You need to have an update. It seems like that you may have a virus on your machine. Please go to this website and we will help you clean this virus. Just an example of one that they could do. There's many other type of scams they will do. Pretend they're from the Social Security Administration, from the IRS, a debt collection agency. And folks, there are even debt collection agencies that have been hacked. The hackers will get the information and call the patients and state to them that they're taking over the debt that you owe and you need to pay them versus the original hospital or clinical agency. Folks, definitely say no to this and verify it first before you make any type of payment. To continue the story, I'd like to take you to a news story we have from WMAR News 2.
Scammers are stepping up their game. Instead of taking a few $100s, they're cleaning out bank accounts, savings, investments, even retirement funds. These victims were on their computers when a message appeared. Their device is infected with a virus. They must call tech support immediately. When they do, they're told the situation is serious and urgent.
The representative on the other end of the line will convince them that there is a problem with their computer and that, in fact, their financial accounts may have been compromised.
They're told to download software that gives the scammer access to their computer, then log into their accounts.
We'll kind of try and suss out, how many accounts do you have? How much is in that account? So they have a feeling for how much to shoot for.
They're given different reasons as to why they need to transfer or withdraw their money. In some cases, it's to secure their account. Other scammers make it seem like they overpaid the victim and now they need to reimburse the scammer. Or they're told they're involved in illegal activity and need to run their money through an FBI agent to clear their name. It's
not unusual to see a victim walking into a gas station with $5,000 and feeding $100 bills into this Bitcoin ATM.
And the reported losses are way up, more than 32,000 reports in 2022, totaling $806 million, including victims in Maryland, a Churchton woman losing $40,000, another in Silver Spring out $180,000, including a significant portion of her retirement.
I've seen 600, 800, over $1 million in loss, because once the victim gets it in their mind that everything they've worked for their whole life is potentially gone if they don't act immediately, they'll act immediately and they'll send everything that they have.
Supervisory Special Agent Keith Custer sees these crimes originate in South Asia and India, making recovery more complicated. And while tech support scams are the #1 fraud affecting seniors, he warns it can happen to anyone.
That's a common misnomer with a lot of people, is that victims are all suffering from dementia or they're not with it. But I'm here to tell you that a lot of the victims are sharper, older people with professional degrees lawyers, doctors, engineers. No one is immune to this.
You might come across these pop-up ads if you click the wrong link in an email or ad, and it'll lock your computer. If this happens to you, visit a tech professional in person. Microsoft doesn't include phone numbers in error or warning messages, so don't call. And if you did send money, call your bank right away, ask them to reverse any transactions, and always file a report with the FBI's Internet Crime Complaint Center.
Folks, the scammers employ various tactics to get victims to transfer and withdraw funds from your account by using these types of scams. In some cases, the victims are told that a transfer of money is necessary to secure an account. In other times, scammers falsely claim that they have overpaid the victim and require reimbursement. In other words, they're saying that they have overpaid the actual victim. And folks, this is very mischievous and brazen how they do this. There is a way that the scammer can show you on your bank account that you have monies owed to them. And the technique is, I almost want to say it's ingenious, but the fraud is incredible. What they do is when they hack into your computer, after you have brought up your bank statement, your bank account, they'll hack it to the computer, and then they'll say, hold on, I need to have my manager approve this. Your screen turns either blue or you have a message saying, please stand by. The hacker, in turn, now they have control of your computer, right? I'm just giving you guys exactly what goes on, how hackers work this. They use the F12 key on the keyboard that allows them to go in and change the actual screen code. So from the actual screen, not the database at the bank where your information is, but on your computer, and they can enter the scammer's name and the amount owed, right? That transaction. So then when you come back and look at the charge, you will actually see it, that you can see that there's a transaction in your bank account for, let's just say, $10,000 that you know shouldn't be there. Then they will tell you, you need to transfer that money back to us, and here's a wire of how you do it. And a lot of these senior citizens, the elderly, will see this on the screen and they'll make this transfer. Well, folks, it's all fraudulent because all they did was change the actual script on your particular laptop, not, again, the database from the bank. You do not owe them any monies like this. It's all a scam. Be very, very careful of this. The FBI urges citizens to be vigilant and educate themselves. Tell their friends and family what you've learned on this show and emphasize this awareness. Our first defense, folks, is to protect our digital and financial security and financial assets. Like we always say, folks, on this show, hashtag stay cyber woke. We'll be back after these messages.
Find the art that speaks to your heart at Desert Valley Gallery. I've got to have it.
So colorful.
I can't live without it. You'll find the art that speaks to your heart at Desert Valley Gallery.
So hi folks, welcome back to segment 3, Cybersecurity Awareness TV. I'm your host, Mac Jackson Jr. Here folks, we're going to recap today's show, what we have discussed and what you have learned. Folks, in today's episode, we discussed the casino heist that happened that we're calling Ocean's 13 heist of millennials. Happened to MGM Grand and Caesars. They call it the roll of the dice, folks. It began by a deep analysis of the cyber attack that happened to the major casinos, MGM Grand and Caesars Entertainment. Despite the secured fortress from my friends that work there, both of the establishments were hacked by these hackers using social engineering and the human factor. It goes again to tell us that it's important that everyone keep vigilant on this type of attacks and keep themselves educated to protect themselves. In our second segment, we talked about the FBI warnings. There was 2 of them. QR codes, folks, the little square codes that you use your phone to scan. be very cautious of that. Do not click on every QR code. Definitely vet it to make sure that it is who they say they are. And also, we continued the FBI warnings about tech support calls that are coming in that are fake from scammers that are trying to get you to click on or talk to them through your telephone and to get money from your bank accounts, or to extort money from your bank accounts, folks. So these are things that we covered in this week's episode of Cybersecurity Awareness TV. If you'd like to find out more about my company, and again, the name of my company is called Vanderson Cyber Group. You can go to that website, folks, or you can go to my website at mattjacksonjr.com. That's mattjacksonjr.com, and find out information on how to protect your business. You can come to some of my events. I have online courses. I work virtually from around the world in helping you design policies for your business. We'll help you with cyber insurance, put together with a broker that can help you harden and strengthen your cybersecurity posture. But the most important part, folks, is my company and my staff can help your staff stay on top of the cyber threats that are happening on a daily basis, folks, through education and training. That is our best defense, and that's why I've always said to everyone that asks me about cybersecurity, I always say to them, our best defense against these type of cyber attacks is in the education of our workforce, folks. Stay cyber woke, stay secure, and we will see you here, Cybersecurity Awareness TV, next week.